Heyo, Patrick, what's going on, bud?
Not too bad at all, buddy. So we're doing gun violence in the United States, I presume.
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing. You sent me
All
some
right.
articles after we had a discussion the other day, and you're
Yeah.
like, we should probably talk about this
Yes,
because there
there
are
we go.
countries that are doing this and doing that, and here's what's going on there with the guns. So,
Yeah, as I said, there's lots of talking heads at the moment on different news agencies, from CNN to Fox News, everywhere. It's just nice to look at the figures and figure out the truth behind things, as they say.
that makes sense.
Yes.
We're going to look at some of the most violent cities in the United States on a little list, but we have an article in the Gun Zone, January 28, 2024, by Wayne Fletcher. And in our search, we found that this was probably the most balanced one. And then we have a couple of figures from another couple of things, and we'll link them in the description of the video so you guys can check it out. So, all right. So let us talk what American cities have the highest rates of gun violence and identifying. Ooh, that was fast. A longer article than I thought. Identifying American cities with the highest rates of gun violence requires careful consideration of data sources and methodologies, but broadly, cities like New Orleans, St. Louis, Baltimore, Birmingham, and Jackson, Mississippi, consistently appear among the most affected. These rankings are typically determined by analyzing the number of gun-related homicides and non-fatal shootings per capita, often adjusted to account for population size. So these are mostly per capita, right?
Yes.
So
it's the most balanced way of doing it, really, to be honest.
In, say, California, Oakland, California has overall more crime, but say the city of Stockton, California, per capita is a worse issue functionally for overall crime.
Right. Right.
Anyway, so understanding gun violence in American cities. The complex issue of gun violence in the United States transcends simple explanations. It's a multifaceted problem rooted in a combination of socioeconomic factors, historical inequalities, and the availability of firearms. Understanding the specific dynamics within the cities most affected is crucial for developing effective intervention strategies, right?
Yeah, makes sense, really, to be honest. Common sense approach.
We want to make sure we're not overstating things, right?
Yeah, because I think the sad thing is a lot of the talking heads, especially when I was looking into this, have different solutions to the problem, but they're not addressing, as you were saying there, is a lot of these areas where there's high gun violence, is also high drug trades, they're on drug routes and so on, a lot of gang violence, a lot of economic issues. It's a very complex. It's not just easy. You could restrict all the firearms you want. I'm talking from the Democratic policy. They want to always restrict firearms, but gangs will get guns if no matter where you are in the world.
For sure, 100%. Right.
Yeah. It's not just a unique, as I was saying, not especially I'm talking from an Irish point of view, because we do have shootings here as well. Because we had a bit of a whoopsie up in Northern Ireland for a while there.
A bit of a tip with the UK. Bit of a tip.
So there's a lot of firearms as well in circulation in Ireland as well. But it's normally, like in America, it's normally in poorer parts of a lot of our inner cities.
Yep.
Same as the United States.
Well, that's why I list the socioeconomic factors. But there's also, like you said, a gang factor, right? So if other kinds of illegal activities, such as drugs and trafficking of all kinds, is going to cause the problem, because people are going to want to settle down and say, this is my turf, this is where I'm going to do the thing. But since it's unregulated, because it's illegal activity, then there's going to be a schism. That violence is going to erupt in those situations when one group attempts to maintain control of an area for financial gain, right? So the furtherance of criminal enterprise is going to cause more of these things to take place, right? So the key factors contributing to high gun violence rates, several interwoven factors contribute to the elevated rates of gun violence in specific urban areas. So the number one listed is poverty and economic inequality. Concentrated poverty and limited economic opportunities can create environments where individuals are more susceptible to involvement in crime, including gun violence. So I was talking with some family and friends, and there's this new term that's being used. It's called trapping, right? So this is the selling of drugs or squatting in houses or running scams to make money as opposed to gaining employment.
Basically, all different forms of petty crime is the best way to describe it.
Functionally, yeah. So you're hustling. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're getting your hustle on to make a few dollars, that kind of thing. And it can, but
Yeah.
trapping can also be against the government, right? Getting benefits and getting a draw that you shouldn't be getting, declaring certain kind of disabilities you may or may not have, all kinds of stuff, getting certain kind of benefits, EBT, SNAP, any Section 8 for housing. We were actually talking about a gentleman earlier today who was flying to the United States from Ireland or the UK. Remember, who was that we were talking about earlier today? The gentleman you said, we're not going to talk about him anymore. But just as an example.
Oh, yeah. As an example. Yeah, well, I won't give him any more press than he's already got, but it was just interesting that he pleaded freely laid and all these different benefits, by the way, while flying to the United States and back, because flying to Washington from Ireland is not cheap, by the way.
No, it's not. But the thing is, but that's a form of trapping, but it's against the government, is what I'm saying. So
yes,
trapping can be done against, your peer group locally. It can be done against someone of a different socioeconomic status or against the government, right? So all these things are trapping. So economic inequality causes these groups to eventually, if they perform criminal activities, it's going to lead to certain kinds of schisms and violence and negative interaction, right? So the next one is lack of educational opportunities. Limited access to quality education and vocational training can restrict upward mobility and contribute to feelings of hopelessness, increasing the likelihood of engaging in risky behaviors, right? So we have
lack of hope.
Yeah, well, we have undeveloped youth who aren't given the best opportunity for education, right? And the United States spends, I believe, an average of between $17,000 and $27,000 per year per student in the system, and our outcomes are just unacceptable, right? If you are so school districts are paid for a lot of times in the United States by those constituents that reside in those districts. They put in money, and then that money goes to a big kitty, and then it's split up amongst all the schools in the area. And a lot of times they'll enclose a district in a place that is more socioeconomically successful. So then one school gets a band and a swim team and a football team and acting and debate and theater and all this stuff. Whereas the other school might have just a football team and a baseball team and a wrestling team, and then they don't have anything extra to provide cultural value to that school. Just that you go to class, and then maybe if you're in one of these three things, you get some, but it just reduces, right? Plus, we have some policies like the No Child Left Behind policy, which means that everybody's going to be held back to the rate of the slowest learner in the class, right? So no more advanced placement classes, no more gifted and talented, none of that. It's everybody's all in the same class all the time. And then if you have a student that can excel, they don't get to excel, right? So then everybody's kept down at this low standard, right? But also it leads to engagement in risky behaviors, right? And we see a lot of that from single parent families in the inner city, right? So all these things are contributing factors. All right. So this next one, I don't know. Let's see. Racial disparities and systematic discrimination. Historically, racial minorities have faced systematic discrimination and unequal access to resources, leading to concentrated poverty and marginalization that can fuel violence. I think this refers to the American South for the most part. I think there's other places that have this, but this feels like it's talking about the historical South.
I think he's doing more of a general term there, if I was being honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gang activity.
It does sound like the South.
It does sound like it does sound like the systematic discrimination thing. So, gang activity and illegal arms trafficking. The presence of gangs and the illegal trafficking of firearms contributes significantly to gun violence. People are going to protect their guns with guns, right? Gang-related conflicts often involve the use of firearms, and the easy availability of illegal weapons exacerbates the problem. That's correct. But the other side of that is if you restrict legal gun ownership in the United States and only the bad guys have guns, then criminals are going to criminal. They're just going to, right? And that's just a function of how that's going to work. If I can exert power and extract resources, and all I have to do is wave a gun and get it, I might just decide to do that. Not me specifically, but someone who has the wanton.
Everybody, basically, the good guys want guns and the bad guys have guns, and we understand.
And they're engaging in risky behavior. Right? Mental health challenges. While mental illness is not a primary driver of gun violence, untreated mental health issues combined with access to firearms can increase the risk of violence. So a lot of this one, I think, has to do with the FBI statistics are forced to use suicide as gun violence. I don't know that that's necessarily true. They would more than likely find another way to commit suicide, even if they didn't have a firearm. So I think it should
Yes,
be a
but
separate category.
obviously, when they pick up the firearm and they use it in suicide because they have access to the firearm, it's probably the quickest and easiest way.
Right, but violence is generally speaking something that I commit against another person, right? I mean, I can cut myself, I can shoot myself, right? I can do those things.
Yeah.
But the individual who's the victim of the crime is the individual who's perpetrating the crime. I'm not going out to someone else to cause them distress. It's me I'm doing the thing to, if I'm choosing to do that, nor would I.
Yeah. But obviously, if they have access to guns, they're going to use a gun. Especially when it comes to, say, veteran suicides, which one other article I was looking through earlier as well was talking about that.
Super sad,
they have a tendency to use a firearm more than any other mean of suicide.
Well, it's pretty permanent and it's quick. It's fast.
Yeah.
And I don't condone it. And in fact, we'll probably put links to suicide hotlines and things in the
exactly.
show notes. Please, if you have some kind of issue like that, call someone. Do not use a permanent solution for a temporal problem. Tomorrow might be a better day, and let's hope that it is. All right.
Yeah.
So weak community institutions, the decline of strong community institutions such as schools, religious organizations, and social support networks can leave vulnerable individuals without essential resources and support, increasing the risk of involvement in violence. Again, the inability to have an appropriate risk reward system, right? What is the right thing to do here, and what is going to be the best outcome, not just for me, but for everyone. So,
but this is probably another reason why I picked this article. One thing I do like about this particular article is he doesn't just name the cities and figures and walk away. He actually breaks down why these specific cities have these specific problems.
Right. Well, let's go over these few. We have another list, and we'll show that one to you when we're done with this. It's a little more comprehensive and gives you some per capita numbers.
It is that. That's actually pretty good as well. It just gives you the numbers, not really the reasons. It's probably the best way to put it.
So New Orleans, Louisiana has faced persistent challenges with gun violence, often attributed to poverty, inequality, and gang activity. St. Louis, Missouri struggles with high rates of gun violence due to factors like economic disparity, racial segregation, and historical disinvestment in certain neighborhoods. They just stop gentrifying anywhere, and they just let these places go. So,
and the sad thing is, the more violent the city gets, the smaller the kitty in the city gets. Less police are on there, and it's just a vicious cycle in a lot of these cities, unfortunately.
Baltimore, Maryland has also grappled with the significant gun violence, often linked to poverty, drug trafficking, and strained relationships between the community and law enforcement. Yeah, the cops are not well appreciated. Baltimore's finest are not appreciated as much as they should be. Birmingham, Alabama faces high rates of gun violence fueled by economic challenges, limited opportunity for youth, and the proliferation of illegal firearms. So Alabama has a ton of guns that have been dumped in there. Jackson, Mississippi, similar to other cities on the list. Did I say that correctly? Jackson, Mississippi?
Yeah, Jackson, Mississippi.
Similar to other cities on the list, battles gun violence tied to poverty, lack of resources, and community instability.
Even when I was Googling images of these cities, a lot of them are very run down, is the word I would use.
Right.
In a lot of ways. Because a lot of them had heavy industry, say, from in the 50s and the 70s, they had a lot of steel industry, car manufacturing. But once those jobs slowly but surely died off, there was very little opportunities for people.
Yeah, no backup. It's either you leave.
They were just left behind.
Yeah, or you get to trap it. It's crucial to remember that the statistics only paint a partial picture. The human cost of gun violence, the lives lost, the families shattered, and communities traumatized is immeasurable. That's a fact.
Yeah, that's true.
So, seeking solutions, prevention, and intervention strategies. Addressing gun violence requires a multi-pronged approach that combines prevention and intervention strategies. These include community-based violence intervention, investing in community-led programs that focus on mediating conflicts, providing mentorship, and offering support to at-risk individuals. Yeah, our youth just doesn't have any guidance. There's just not enough groups like this that are like, hey, this is what ethical and morally balanced decisions look like. Right? This is how you
there's very few. Yeah, even the few NGOs that are dealing with youth problems in these cities are way under-resourced.
Big time. Well, then when they get a lot of money, a lot of them just take the money and run. We've seen that.
We've seen that as well. There's another flip side as well. sad, really, to see how left behind these cities are.
Improving
Seems to be
economic
no
opportunities.
Yeah, there's no
Right.
investment.
Right.
Yeah.
So improving economic opportunities, creating job training programs and providing resources to support small businesses and underserved communities to address the root cause of economic inequality. We just saw with that socialist mayor that got elected in Seattle, and a lot of the people who were speaking on behalf of Zoran Mondani, that they were just going to tax and tax and tax and tax people. Okay, but you understand, like, you're not restricted to Seattle, Washington, or New York
No,
City.
you can just open.
New York.
Yeah, you can just open and leave.
You can go away.
Yeah,
right?
and that's. I think the sad thing about a lot of these, so as I've always said, give these social mayors 6 months just to get over their first budget and so on.
Right.
Because they're going to realize that the problem is not just getting more money in the pot. You have to get people willing to invest in your city.
Right.
You have to be willing to invite people in to start businesses, bring opportunities to young people like trades and so on. You know, it's a very complex issue that they want simple solutions to.
Yeah, that's not how that works. There's nuance, there's issues, right?
Yeah.
All right. So enhancing educational opportunities, investing in schools, providing early childhood education, and offering scholarships and financial aid to help individuals access higher education. I don't know that the access to higher education is necessarily the greatest thing. We need vocational work done. We need electricians. We need people who can do the work. You know what I'm saying? And those are great jobs. Those are great jobs.
But the problem is, and just because a friend of mine is a very good electrician, you need a very high level of mathematical skills to become an electrician, not just a high school diploma. You need a certain aptitude towards it, which you'll get over time. And the sad thing is, a lot of these kids coming from very poor backgrounds have very basic educational skills.
Right.
And that's just the sad fact about it. You need to invest, yes, in lower education more than high education. Like start from from juniors up. Even when get them proper high school education, so they have the mathematical skills to become an electrician, or bring in more hands-on education like woodwork,
right?
Mechanical engineering.
Most of that stuff. We've lost
none of that. It seems to be. The more I looked at a lot of your high schools, I was looking at, there's very few of them anymore do woodworking classes. You know, there's no place for where they used to break down cars long ago.
So when I was going to school, we had metal shop, we had wood shop, we had vehicles like I don't know, I think it was called car shop, but they had automotive classes. Like you could learn about like automotive repair and all that kind of stuff. But all these
change oil in your car and so on, filters.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, in high school, we had a plastics class, a plastic shop, where you could make plastic stuff and learn how to manipulate that. You know?
Yeah, we used to call it technology class. Actually, when I was that's many. Yeah, we still actually have that. A lot of other schools still have, a lot of science, woodworking, metalwork. That is still in our Lebensart.
That's really good. But the thing is the amount of money that we pay per student. We're having very bad outcomes based on that. The outcome hasn't become much better, and we've ended up with a whole layer of bureaucracy that is taking money out of the system that isn't doing what it needs to do.
Like I read about one school. I was actually the same time we were doing that episode. It's a Buffalo school district, wasn't it?
Yep. Detective
I was looking at one of our high schools. Just out of curiosity. And the reason why they don't have woodwork, metalwork was because of insurance reasons.
Yes, because kids can lose fingers.
Yeah.
And then you give people who might be not the most stable ways to make weapons and things like that.
Yeah,
so it's hard to insure it. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Strengthening the mental health services, increasing access to affordable mental health care, and promoting awareness to reduce the stigma associated with seeking help. So a lot of the states in the union have reduced their mental health services immensely in the 60s and 70s, right around when Reagan was the governor of California, like right in that time frame. But a lot of states did it. So now a lot of the mental health stuff that has to take place happens to incarcerated persons because that safety net was removed in the 60s and 70s. So we just don't have the same infrastructure to capture those kinds of issues or problems and address them, right?
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
So smart gun safety laws, implementing evidence-based gun safety laws such as universal background checks and red flag laws to prevent firearms from falling into the wrong hands. It doesn't matter how many laws you have, bad guys will get guns.
Yeah.
Right. And all these
every country in Europe can attest to that. We have most of our countries have zero policy when it comes to firearms, but gangs will get firearms.
Right. Well,
yeah.
So, and the universal background checks already happen. They're already happening across the country, right? So there's a federal firearms thing that happens when you go to buy a firearm. There's certain checks you have to get with the Department of Justice. Should takes 10, 15 minutes to run the check. And then there's red flags if you're a felon and certain kinds of things like that. Like you're not going to be able to get a gun. So, all right. So
is there anything? Is it around mental? Is there anything there about mental health flags or anything like that?
Yes. If you have certain kind of, if you've gone 5150, you may not be able to get a firearm. But if you go 5151, you probably won't be getting a firearm. But you'll know. Someone will tell you, hey, you are no longer able to get a firearm until you address these issues, and you're good in the head moving forward, right? You have to and you're against that. So, all right.
And is that across all the union states, or is it just certain states in America?
All states, because of federal regulation, have a standard they have to meet. But some states have raised that standard to insane levels. So, not just so much on the mental health stuff, but they have lists and rosters of things you can't have for some reason. They're like, although the Second Amendment says you can have this firearm, we as the state of X have decided that you are not responsible enough as a human person to have this kind of firearm. You can't have that. So, yeah, that's not cool. Not cool at all. So, addressing trauma and promoting healing, providing resources to help individuals and communities heal from the trauma of gun violence, including mental health services, support groups, and community building initiatives. That's an amazing concept and idea. It's really good.
Yeah.
So, focused deterrent strategies, utilizing data-driven strategies to identify and address specific individuals and groups at high risk of involvement in gun violence. Stuff.
Yeah.
All right. We want to go ahead and read the frequently asked questions one, that first one.
Oh, the frequently asked questions. The first, I'm bringing it up here.
Read that first one.
What data sources are used to determine gun violence rates in the city? Data is typically sourced from the FBI. Oh, okay. Non-fatal shootings and other gun-related incidents. All right. Okay. So you are right. The reason why he got me to read this out is because he was right earlier on.
Sometimes it happens. So, question 2, is gun violence solely a big city problem? While large urban centers often dominate the lists, gun violence also affects smaller cities and rural areas. The drivers and characteristics of gun violence can vary depending upon the community context. However, population density you too, right? Population density is often correlated with higher overall incidence, right? And that has to do with more people, more guns, more problems, right? If it's just
pretty much,
How does gun violence in the U.S. compare to other developed countries? The United States has significantly higher rates of gun violence compared to other developed countries. The disparity is often attributed to factors such as high gun ownership rates, weaker gun control laws, and the legacy of violence in American history. Okay. So high gun ownership rates is a misnomer because those who are lawful owners of firearms don't have, there's hardly any issue at all. There's some negligent discharges, but there's not a lot with that. So, but when they say high gun ownership, what they mean is both legal and illegal ownership of guns. If I have the thing, I own the thing. And if I intend to do something bad, then I'm going to do something bad. Or even if it's just, just in defense of my territory, right? So weaker gun control laws. The cities in the United States who have the highest threshold for gun control, including the entire state of Hawaii, have issues. Issues, right? Because when you restrict what a lawful carry can do, or what a lawful carrier of a firearm can do or have, then you're putting them at a huge disadvantage. If you put a bunch of hurdles in the way to get something, right? Like, it's your right to have a firearm, but now you have to jump through a bunch of hoops. Is it a right to have a firearm or not? Or is it a right to have bureaucracy jam it down my throat so bad I can't just go get a firearm, right? And I don't know about the legacy of violence in American history. I think the legacy of violence is every country in the world. Maybe, I don't know. Everybody's got conversation soldiers.
Yeah, I think that's probably disingenuous and small, because you're right. America is not unique when it comes to violence with guns. Every country, especially in Europe, by the way, I'm thinking of Britain, France, Spain, all the way through their history, have used guns to solve a lot of problems. So it's not a unique American problem.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So
especially the fact your country is so young as well. So
well, thank you.
I don't have that long history.
Thank
you. You're like the baby country in the corner. Sorry. Compared to the rest of Europe, you are. You're only 200 odd years old.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people forget how young America is as a country.
It's a fact. But we have lots of aircraft carrier flotillas out there that, we might be young, but we're strong. Grr. Anyway, what role does poverty play in gun violence? Poverty is a significant contributing factor to gun violence. Concentrated poverty can lead to lack of opportunities, increased stress, and a higher likelihood of involvement in crime. This includes gun violence, right? Gangs exerting their will on other gangs.
That's going to happen there. You're going to have gang violence all over the place.
The solution here, he's saying, is in addressing poverty through job creation, education, social support programs.
Yeah, that's what I was saying as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and it should effectively reduce violence. All right. The next two are interesting. What are red flag laws and how do they work? Red flag laws, also known as extreme risk protection orders, allow law enforcement or family members to petition a court to temporarily remove firearms from individuals who pose a significant risk to themselves or others. These laws are intended to prevent tragedies by temporarily restricting access to firearms for those who have existed warning signs of violence. So this one is strange. So what you can do is you can say, I don't think Johnny should have a gun because he seems a little unstable. Right?
Yeah, Johnny was out his back garden howling at the moon last night. Probably not a good idea. Johnny has his gun.
Right, but the problem with this is it's one individual exerting their will on another to remove rights, as opposed to them being charged with a crime or having something formal happen. This is just
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, but I understand why there's probably mental health laws there in place.
Right, but the thing is, if someone seeks mental health, then yes. And if somebody says, hey, you should probably go seek mental health, yes, the gun should not be removed until such time as it has been determined that they can't, right? Through a formal process, not just a couple folks went downtown and said you can't.
Well, what I'm saying is, can a neighbor ring saying, look, my neighbor next door is mentally unwell at the moment. He has guns. I think it's not a good idea for his own safety and everyone's safety that he has them.
Right. You can call law enforcement
what would the process then be?
So I call local law enforcement, deputy, city PD, and I say, hey, Johnny next door is doing strange stuff. We need to go holler at him. And then the local law enforcement makes contact, and they're like, they safety sweep the house and be like, hey, are you good? And John will be like, yeah, my neighbor hates me, and we'll call and do wild things. Right.
But so if they find there's a mental health issue, what's the process then?
Then they will go 5150, which means they might go to an in-care mental health facility until such time as it is determined they are allowed back out into the world to interact with the public.
Yeah, will they take away his firearm? Do they take away the firearms then, or?
Well, generally speaking, it's an inpatient care, so they'll be in a facility while they determine it. And then if it's determined that they can't have firearms, then law enforcement will go with them to their house and secure their firearms until such time as it's deemed that they're allowed to regain their Second Amendment right.
Well, that's pretty good laws there. So
generally speaking, but the problem is that sometimes people abuse them. Sometimes when you have red flag laws, you just do it to hassle somebody. So the punishment is the process, right? I punish you with a process, right? Here's the next one. Do stand your ground laws impact gun violence rate? Do you know what a stand your ground law is?
Oh, yeah. I've seen actually that. There was an interesting case there a couple of years ago. I remember watching it. It was about an elderly couple in the United States. Can't remember what state it was. And a bunch of people came onto their property. So they're elderly. They said, look, leave my property. They didn't injure anyone, but they fired a lot of rounds over people's heads to clear them from their property.
Right.
I think it was one of those animal rights things. I'm not too sure of the full thing, but I remember that stand your ground was there.
Right.
Time
so
found,
generally speaking, stand your ground laws are also included in a thing called castle doctrine. Have you heard of castle doctrine?
Yeah. We actually have similar laws in Ireland, by the way. People yeah, we can actually defend our own we have the right to defend our properties.
Right. We also have the right in the United States and many states to defend our vehicles as well. So if somebody gets up on your vehicle and they won't let you go, and you go, you're cool, right? But the stand your ground laws and the castle doctrine laws are stay off my land or I can shoot and kill you, right? So this is for people who are just
straightforward, really, isn't it?
Yeah, stay off people's land. Don't just walk up to their house. You know, like if there's an easement and you can get to the front door area, cool. If there's a gate, don't go through their gate. Don't go on their property without permission. If they wanted you there, they'd have called you and told you, and they'd have met you at the gate, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you are at risk, right, of getting shot. So,
but obviously, people use a bit of common sense as well. Obviously, if a person is lost, genuinely, you know,
for sure,
you know, yeah.
But they don't have common sense. But they don't have to.
They don't have to, but I presume people do use common sense.
For the most part, people are pretty respectful. If somebody says, "What the hell are you doing here?" I am lost. I came up from this direction, right? But if it's that you had to have gone through a barrier of some sort, then they might just be like, "You're stupid. You're gone," right? Like you did the thing. So research on the impact of stand your ground laws, which remove the duty to retreat. Do you know what duty to retreat is?
You give a person an ability to run away, isn't it?
Duty to retreat is before you can engage someone, you literally have to find every avenue of egress that you can. You literally must run away before you engage, right?
Oh, so
stand your ground laws, which remove the duty to retreat before using deadly force in self-defense, is mixed.
Nice.
Some studies suggest that these laws may be associated with an increase in gun homicides, while others find no significant effect. Right?
Okay, so it depends on who's reading the data, pretty much.
Well, it says the debate continues and more research is needed.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And then we'll cover this here, number 7 one, and number 8, and then we'll be done.
But the duty to retreat is an interesting term.
Well, in in California, they tried to pass a duty to retreat law, and it would work like this: if someone breaks into your home, you literally have to run away from them in your house until you are cornered before you can engage them with a firearm. That's what it would have been. You have to run away in your own house from someone committing a felony on your house, and you don't know what they're there for, what they're going to do, why they're there, if they have guns, if they don't have guns, any of that.
Wow. So you have that's
it did not
get passed, did it?
It did not pass.
No, I was going to say that's literally I was going to say shooting yourself in the foot.
It's bad. All right, so what is community-based violence intervention? Community-based violence intervention involves programs that work directly with individuals at high risk of involvement in violence to mediate conflicts, provide mentorship, and offer support services. So this is kind of the vague, feel good, let's just be a better community kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I think that's why they're difficult to implement, because this isn't an easy solution. This is teaching moral and ethical decision-making. It's teaching community. It's teaching involvement, right? And
it takes generations to change a certain mindset in a lot of these communities, not just one generation, but generational counseling is the best word I put it.
Right.
As we found in Northern Ireland, it took generations to change. And even now, we're still continuing to change the mindset for a better future, to get away from violence.
That would be a good thing. All right. How can schools contribute to preventing gun violence? Schools can play a crucial role in preventing gun violence by implementing evidence-based violence prevention programs, promoting a positive school climate, addressing bullying, and providing mental health support for students. They can also work with families and community organizations to address the root cause of violence. So this is getting your community, from your city council to your schools to your law enforcement to recreational departments, that put on classes and teach things.
Yeah.
Right. It's getting them all integrated. And it seems like there's been a break between all those things because we've been in our houses since the phone got put in our hand. We just interact so much less. Right.
Yes. Yes. Getting people to put down the phone and start talking to each other a lot of ways. But addressing bullying is an interesting one because when you look at a lot of the school shootings over there, they're usually coming from kids who are really heavily bullied. And now most of the case, you're kind of going, why didn't the school step in sooner?
Right. Right. For sure.
Yeah.
Then we empower victim narratives. And when people are sometimes victims of bullying, they feel the only way to respond is by doing something unforgivable. So,
yes.
Right.
Yes.
So now we're going to go to the top 100 most dangerous cities. We're only going to look at the top 10, though. So
Yes.
the top 100 most dangerous cities in America, ranked by FBI data, published for 2026.
Yeah.
So crime statistics are more than just numbers. They reflect the challenges communities face and the realities residents live with every day. Using FBI uniform crime reporting data, analysts compile rankings of the most dangerous cities in America based on violent crime rates per 100,000 residents. These rankings highlight where crime is most concentrated, offering insight into social, economic, and policing issues across the country. While no list can capture the full complexity of safety in a city, it provides a snapshot of areas struggling with high levels of violence. And number one on our list is beautiful Memphis, Tennessee. Okay. It ranks as America's most dangerous city, extremely high violent crime rate, poverty, gang activity, and drug trafficking contribute heavily to shootings, robberies, and assaults. So, and they're trying to gentrify the area. So, but Memphis
actually, Memphis is. That's one that was one that shocked me when I looked this up initially because I never think Memphis would be number one.
Right. The city's homicide rate is among the nation's highest, and property crime remains widespread. That's the way that it is. And they're looking for stronger policing, youth programs, and economic investment to reduce crime. So,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah. The second one on the list is beautiful Oakland, California.
Yeah.
Car thefts, burglaries, assaults. San Francisco is really, really bad too. But for some reason, since Oakland has more gang activity than does San Francisco, it generally gets.
I don't know why would billing. Why specifically Oakland with gangs?
Wow. So when you drive from downtown Oakland toward Hayward, California, on a street called East 14th International, every few blocks is a section or area controlled by a different gang.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then as you go towards the water and away from the water, like there's going to be different gangs down that way and different gangs up that way, right? So, and you can head up into the Oakland Hills or Montclair or some of the little richer neighborhoods in there. And then the ones that are on the top side of Highway 580, down on toward the zoo, the Oakland Zoo, which is actually a really good zoo. Like the whole top strip is nice. And then it just, as you get further toward the port, it just gets bad. Right.
Yeah, because I'm looking here at the population figures. Only 440,000 people in Oakland. Wow.
Well, understand that's also the entirety of the San Francisco Bay Area. So there's.
Oh yes, yeah. I'm just saying there's a pretty big population there.
Well, it also connects to other cities like Richmond, California, and all those other little cities in there, and those are all functionally extensions.
Yeah, the current mayor is Barbara Lee.
Yes.
Current mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Seems like just judging by her picture, nice lady, 79 years of age. Very nice.
Right. Well, she said some wild things to the press and the.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the news articles here. Yeah, interesting lady is the word I could use.
St. Louis, Missouri has one of the highest crime rates, highest homicide rates in the U.S. Gun violence, concentrated poverty, and segregation drives crime statistics. The city's violent crime rate per capita is staggering, especially compared to similarly sized cities. Efforts to revitalize downtown and attract tourism are overshadowed by safety concerns. Yeah. And St. Louis remains culturally rich with strong civic pride and ongoing community resilience. They have the best barbecue in the country. Controversially, I would say St. Louis, Missouri has.
But it's definitely a city that's been very underinvested in. Because when I was
for sure
even when I'm Googling their images there, like the center of the city is beautiful, but then even when you look out and zoom out on Google Maps here,
Yeah.
The rest is just very underinvested. Is the word I'm going to use.
There you go.
Trying to be
All right,
refined,
so we'll go over these last 7, but those were our top 3: Memphis, Tennessee, Oakland, California, and
Yeah.
St. Louis,
And
Missouri.
Baltimore, I think everyone in Ireland remembers the TV shows about Baltimore.
Right. Well, Baltimore's got a problem with the constituency trusting the law enforcement agencies there.
Yeah.
So we've got Baltimore, Maryland, Detroit, Michigan, Cleveland, Ohio, Alexandria, Louisiana, Little Rock, Arkansas, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Kansas City, Missouri. And then this list right here that they have is the top 100. But you'll notice that although Memphis, Tennessee is number 1 on the big list, for metropolitan areas, not just an incorporated city, it's a little bit different, right? So for a city, we have Bessemer, Alabama, Monroe, Louisiana, Saginaw, Michigan. That's those cities, but the outside area that contributes to the whole metro area, right? So then Baltimore, Memphis, Detroit, Pine Bluff, St. Louis, Flint, and Cleveland. Beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. But on a good note, we will leave with a good note. So, facts about the most dangerous cities in the United States. The violent crime 2024 to 2025. We've had a reduction of 10.3%. Is that the one we were looking at?
Yeah, that's it. That's this the one. This is global statistics. I'll leave in the comments down below.
Oh,
they just gathered data
right. Okay.
The United States, so they're kind of non-aligned with anyone. So they have no axe to grind, as they say.
Right. So violent crime decrease, murder rate decrease, SA decrease, domestic violence trend. And it's domestic violence the only one that's going up.
Yeah.
And then cities with population over 500,000 analyzed 35 plus. Most dangerous city violent crime is Anniston, Alabama. Go Alabama. Okay, so this is the last.
Alabama seems to be missing quite a lot of these lists, by the way. Just saying.
Well, it's one of 50 states where there's things that are happening. So the current crime statistics and trends. This is the last one we're going to look at. The murder homicide rate is down 22.7%. Total incidents is 17,000, decreasing. Violent crime overall down 10.3%. It's variable by city, but it is decreasing. SA minus 18%. For a total of 135,755 estimated. But there's a lot of these ones in this category that are not reported. They're just not reported. Robbery, down 13.6%. Total instance 300,000 plus. Aggravated assault, variable 810,000. Trend direction is mixed. Then property crime, motor vehicle theft, and domestic theft. Property crime and motor vehicle theft are down, and domestic violence is the only one that is increasing.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a reporting thing or what's going on with that one, but we can go into it on
it's probably just a lot of people with the economics pressure that people are under at the moment.
Right, and non-standard family structures and those kinds of things will lead to
we found out actually in Ireland, during the lockdown, domestic violence just suddenly spiked because people are locked in, obviously.
Can't leave your house.
Yeah.
There's only so many games of cribbage you can play before you're like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, I think we are. It was just one of those ones that increase even over here.
100%.
And we seem to see, it seems to see a lot even across the G20. Even at the moment, domestic violence seems to be increasing.
Right. Well, and the lockdowns also caused issues with educational systems and kids not getting appropriately educated and stuff like that too. It's a whole lot. I don't know if we're gonna be able to fill back in. So. All right, you got anything else for him there, Patrick?
No, but at least, in fairness, there is some good positive news that it is going down. It is decreasing, so the wall is not completely on fire, according to the news headlines.
There you go. All right, for Patrick McCallum, I'm Alex Johansson. Thank you so much for your time. Subscribe, ring the bell, do the things, and help us beat the algorithm. For the A&P Gents, and we are out.